Sweet. Okay, so why don't we kick off with a quick round of intros? Jacklyn, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Jacklyn. I lead developer relations here at Voiceflow. So that means if you're a developer and you do anything cool, I want to talk to you. I'm here to give you the resources you need and all of that fun stuff. And this event is one of them.
Yes, she's also the face of our YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen her yet, search us up on YouTube and check out our videos.
Kim, who are you?
Who am I? I am the community lead at Voiceflow. So I do a lot of things like these events. I'm also lurking in the Discord and running a lot of our programs like our agency program, our creator program. So if you're any of those, drop it in the chat and let me know. Would love to get connected. And I'll hand it over to James.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so I'm James. I'm one of the co-founders of Roark. Daniel is also co-founder. He's in the comments here, so feel free to ask him questions directly there. And yeah, on the Roark side, we help voice AI teams test and monitor their agents so that we can help you catch the problems before your customers do. So you can think of us as a QA tool for the voice AI space. Yeah.
Love it. Sweet. So it seems like we might have some folks who might not know about Voiceflow, might not know about Roark. So why don't we kick off with a quick introduction? So Voiceflow is a platform to let you build and deploy AI chat or phone voice agents. And so really ultimately to automate anything that's customer facing. So you can think FAQ agents, product recommendation, or if you want to do things like solve tickets or handle customer support, that's all fair game for building on Voiceflow.
You do a lot of different things.
That's definitely the case. And the really awesome thing about a platform is that we are fairly low code. So it's a nice drag and drop interface. We have a built-in knowledge base as well. And if you're a developer, you can build in a lot of custom things like connect to APIs with different platforms, also build in JavaScript steps, build functions. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of folks in the comments have already played around with it, but we're a pretty modular and extensive platform to build your AI agents.
Yeah, there's so much you can build. And I think the great thing is it doesn't matter if you're new to Voiceflow. It doesn't matter if you're super advanced to Voiceflow. This event, you're going to get something out of it.
Yes, 100%. Something exciting that we're hoping to tease is actually we're going to do a whole overhaul of our transcripts and evaluations, really to bring the build and deploy side of things to the next level. So you can get a lot more details on how your customer conversations are going, understand how you can improve your agent responses, and also just automate a lot of the annoying evaluation work that I'm sure folks might be familiar with in chat.
Yeah, I guess yourself some metrics as well, so you can like report on your agent success. And we'll hear a little bit more about some very similar but very cool stuff that Roark's working on, where it kind of lets you take that to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of is a perfect segue into this diagram here. As you're starting off and building your agent, after you publish it, you really just want to get a sense of how folks are interacting with it, what kinds of responses your agent's generating, how you can improve it. And so that's kind of the mid-tier of climbing this mountain. But when you reach summit is where you might need something like Roark to scale a lot of those testing and reporting aspects of your agent. So excited to pass it over to James to share a bit more about Roark and how it works.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, on the Roark side, once you build your voice agent, before you deploy it, you're going to want to make sure that you test it with real users, right? But that might be hard, and you want to make sure that as you deploy it, you check that it's going to react well to different conversations. And so what we allow you to do is run thousands of simulations against your agent, right, and test for those before you deploy. You can also then use that to have some form of regression testing. So as you update your agent, as you update your prompts, you can make sure that it's not going to degrade the quality of your agent, right? And you can deploy with certain confidence. On top of that, we also provide live call monitoring and evaluation. And if the real power comes from using both together, because then as calls come through, from Voiceflow and they flow into Roark, and you see that your evals aren't doing well, you can go and automatically create tests for those and run simulations for it too. And so you can really think of us as like a full QA tool, but for the voice AI space. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's we'll be able to see kind of in the demo today how it all works, and be able to kind of show how you might also iterate your projects after running those tests. So really, really looking forward to that today. All right. So without further ado, why don't we get into the meat and potatoes of today?
Yeah, there's so much to jump into, right, Kim?
For sure.
All right, so we're going to start with a super duper basic demo. And the basic demo is going to be an entire build. So in the last couple days, we have deployed a brand new way to build your first agent. And so I'm going to go and share it with you now. So let's go and share my screen. Awesome. So this is the Voiceflow dashboard. But this Voiceflow dashboard might not look quite the same as it did if you've not used Voiceflow in the last couple of days, because we've made it so that you do not have to build agents from scratch anymore. Instead, you can just go and type a prompt in here. You can describe what the AI agent should do, and Voiceflow will then generate the agent itself for you.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, this is going to be a starting point.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the finishing point,
Yeah.
but it can automatically use tools. So that's integrations with different platforms. And you'll see here, I'll choose customer support as a simple example. This is a really good little prompt.
Yeah.
If I send this, it's going to create a new project. Now, this project, a lot of people, when they're building Voiceflow projects, they just use a single agent step.
Yeah.
And we found that that is not necessarily the way of building great projects on Voiceflow. If you want to build something truly enterprise and truly usable in the real world, you want to be combining multiple agent steps.
Mhm.
Think of each agent almost as like an employee with like a specific role. So you might have someone who answers tickets. You might have someone who helps book a reservation. And occasionally, you know, they might need to be a little bit more linear. So you can also branch out from using just the agent step. We'll show you that in a bit. But in just a second, we're going to have a real generated live
We're ready. Take
agent.
off.
Then there it is. So I'll just, I'll hide this agent for now. But if I zoom out, you'll see here, that is a lot of agent steps.
Yeah. That was generated in a couple minutes, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So this is like a live, this is what Voiceflow agents look like behind the scenes. This is, you know, it's able to identify issues, you know, it's able to route them based on this. And the cool thing is all of these are completely customizable still. So of course, these instructions are pretty simple, but you know, you can have much more complex ones. And if, you know, these aren't quite what you want, you can go and modify them either manually or automatically using an LLM.
Yeah, that's right. I actually built one with the demo for this morning. And if you prompt in, hey, I wanted to connect to Zendesk as a tool, it will also add that in for you and generate it. So it's pretty powerful. It's definitely not a gimmicky feature.
Yeah. Now, for anyone who is brand new to Voiceflow, and I just want to prove that it really is super duper easy to actually build. I'm in real time, completely live, going to connect this agent to a phone number. So you can kind of see how easy it is. So Voiceflow supports web chat, it supports using the API, and it supports connecting to a phone number. And if you go on interfaces here, you can see all of the different ways to connect. In our case, we're going to use telephony or phone. Now, I haven't yet got a phone number for our agent. So we're even going to buy the phone number live just to prove that we're not lying. It is easy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to import a new number, and this actually comes to something else that is brand new. So in the past, we only supported Twilio, but we've got a lot of people from places like Europe or from regions where Twilio maybe isn't the best option. I think we've heard this from places like India a little bit. And so we don't just support Twilio now, we also support Vonage. Vonage is, I think, a European provider, used to be called Nexmo, if you're familiar with that name, and works pretty much the same way Twilio does. You can go and connect your Vonage phone number directly into Voiceflow now. So that is a great one. If you're in Europe, I can see people right here being like, woohoo, yes, it's great. If you are wanting to use a different provider, what you can do is you can always forward in from that provider into your Voiceflow phone number, which is either hosted on Twilio or Vonage. But now let's go connect it live. So I'm here on Twilio. I am going to buy a brand new phone number. We're in Toronto, so we're going to buy a 647 number.
Let's do it.
Because 416 numbers are hard to get nowadays.
Yes.
So we're going to buy it. This is a phone number that supports voice. That's what I need to see. And it's $1.15 a month, which is pretty cheap.
Yeah, I could buy that.
Yeah, I can afford that.
I can afford that.
I'm going to buy it. And someone's already got that one. So let me refresh the page. So you got to move quickly on getting these numbers. Hopefully there's going to be some 647 numbers left. Yeah, here we go. Let's grab this one. And what we'll do is we'll buy this phone number.
Perfect.
And then there's this configure option. The great thing is we actually don't need to configure anything.
Wow, we just need the number.
Yeah, so we'll just copy this number. We'll head over to our agent. We'll paste it in here. It's going to realize we're in Canada, which is great news. And then we need two different things, an SID and an auth token. We can get this on Twilio's end just by heading back to our account dashboard, scrolling down, and you can just grab it from here. So let me pop this in here. And I will also paste in our auth token. Remember, keep your auth token secret. Should not share them with the world.
Please do not.
And then let's give it a name. I'll call it my amazing agent. And then import.
Love that. That was so easy.
And I'm not even lying. If I now assign this to development, I can't assign it to production because I've not got a production environment yet.
Yes.
This phone number will now call this agent. Now, of course, this agent is not quite production ready yet.
Right.
It's not set up. It's not connected to any of the things that we want to.
Yeah.
You know, if you're building a real enterprise agent, you're probably going to want to jump in and use tools. So in this case, it's got Zendesk, but you can connect to a bunch of different integrations, and there's even more coming soon.
That's right.
Gmail is a big requested one. I know it's on the way. We know you want it.
Shopify also on the way. So lots of exciting integrations to come.
Yeah, and then if we don't have an integration, either you can use a function or you can directly call an API. So no matter your business, you're able to hook directly in to Voiceflow. So that's a simple demo. And this is kind of what I wanted to show is like, it really doesn't take long with this brand new generation feature and the ability to just connect a phone number in literally seconds. You can go and launch an agent into the world. Of course, Kim, this isn't the be all and end all of agents, is it?
No, it is certainly not. Let's bring the big guns.
All right, so we promised we'd give you a slightly more advanced demo. So I'm going to pull up a little agent that I pre-created. Now, this agent on the face of it might look a lot more simple, and it is. This is part of an agent that would be production grade. But I want to show some really cool functionality in here because we built this one by hand. Now, this agent is intentionally a little bit shaky in that if we go and run some tests on this agent, it's not going to work entirely correctly. And this is where Roark comes in. But before we kind of jump into that, I do want to show you, as you're leveling up and you're building your agent, some things that you should be aware of. So first of all is if you hit run, we've got a brand new run and debug interface. Now, a lot of people on Voiceflow are like, I don't know how many credits my agent is using. Good news, we've made it a lot easier to tell. If you look here, we've got this new little symbol, this little diamond symbol across the entire app means credits. And this means that running this little step consumed 1.6 credits. We can also see latency, so how long it took to happen. And as we go through our conversation, so this lets us test it over text. Of course, we're building a voice agent. I could say, I want to speak to a team member. Our agent will be able to dynamically route based on these exit conditions. But I just kind of want to zoom out a little bit. Because if you're building production grade agents, I know one thing that we've heard time and time again is that you want a little bit more visibility on what's going on behind the scenes. So we've given it to you. You can now see by clicking here, all the tools that are called, so the paths that are called, you can see what resources are being consumed. You can see behind the scenes which model is being used. And this all feeds in to our analytics. And we fairly recently redid our analytics. But if I kind of jump in here, you can now see latency.
Yeah.
You can see like where that latency has been introduced. When you're building voice agents, you really want that latency to be as low as you can get it.
100%.
And you can see exactly where your credits are being consumed.
Yeah. And with the new transcripts and evals, you'll be able to see even more details on how your agents are performing.
Yeah. So in here, you're going to have transcripts and evaluations very, very soon. And I know we're showing you a preview, but like I played around with the preview. It's really great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Now, the cool thing about this is if we're realizing, you know, stuff's really, really slow and I'm doing like a really simple task here, you can just jump in. And something that a lot of people don't do when they're working with the agent stack is they don't change the AI model. I would really recommend if you're building anything for production, you probably want to have a look at this because AI models, like there's a bunch of different LLMs out there. Some are great for some things. Some are really powerful, but kind of slow. And so I would recommend experimenting. And that's what these new tools let you do. You can see how much latency you're getting. You can see how much it's costing you. And of course, different models cost different amounts. And you got that visibility. So I think that's really great.
No, it's awesome. And you can even optimize your different agent steps for different models, depending on what kinds of actions that they're running. So lots of control and lots of visibility on what you're building.
Yeah. Another little thing before we jump into all the testing that I want to show you is a lot of people are building stuff with like a contact center. So they like have that agent almost as like that level 1 agent. It's going to try and answer questions. It's trying to do basic tasks. But at some point, you're either going to want to forward calls because the agent couldn't solve them based on its knowledge-based information. Or on the flip side, you might have customers who are really high value. You want to give them that boutique experience. And something that a lot of Voiceflow users haven't yet run into is custom actions. And custom actions are really cool. So this is a forward call custom action. We will share this template after the event, and we are redoing the docs right now on these custom actions to give you a full list of them. Now, if I come down here and show the action body, this lets me literally, of course, this is not a real phone number, but I'm able to forward calls. I'm able to detect DTMF tones. So I'm able to detect if the
Nice.
user presses 1, 2, 3 on their phone keypad. You know, if you're ever dealing with multilingualism, that can be really useful. So that's a great little feature. And then one thing I want to talk about before we get into testing, which is the bread and butter of what you all came for, is this difference between agenticism and just a linear flow. So a lot of people build exclusively with the agent step. And I actually think this is a great way of handling it. You can see here, I have this customer support specialist. This customer support specialist is optimized for voice. It's told how it should pronounce things and so on and so forth. But we don't want to handle everything in here. So we use a second step. If our user asks to request financing, for example, rather than trying to do financing calculations in here, we instead have just prototyped it inside this little step, inside this agent step. And we tell it the questions it should ask, and we tell it the formulas. You optionally could use a function as well to make this a little bit more bulletproof. Now, what if they qualify for financing? What if we think, therefore, they should book a test drive? Well, we found in our testing that LLMs are not great at handling times all the time.
Nope, they certainly aren't.
And you're going to run into these limitations. Like LLMs, they are improving really quickly, but sometimes you're going to want to break out of them. And so this is a linear flow. This is a little linear flow that lets you schedule events using cal.com. And I'm just going to show you it. I'll show you it in text just so you can kind of see the actual full conversation. But I can come in here and let's just skip straight to the chase. Let's say I want to book a test drive. And I could say, I want to book a test drive, I want to test a car, so on and so forth. Now, we have a requirement on our exit condition that it detects the first and last name of the user. So I'm going to tell it my first and last name. And I've got a bunch of questions in chat. We'll come to them. Do not worry. Now, here is a little bit of that magic. That's Jacklyn Biggin, Jacklynbiggin. Imagine we're on a call. It confirming a spelling is like a great way of handling it. You know, you want to make sure you're getting names booked into your calendar correctly. This is why creating a voice native prompt is really important, adding those instructions.
That's a great call out.
So let's say I want to book a meeting for, well, I could say July 17th, but let's just say tomorrow. I want to book it for tomorrow. And it's going to kind of go through. And we're able to detect. We have availability on July 17th. Again, it's optimized for voice. 1 p.m., 4 p.m.
Nice.
And let's just say, yes, let's do 4. And our agent can handle that. And it's going to go and handle that conversion. It needs to be in UTC time on cal.com's end. Now, this will take a little bit of time. It's not the fastest API. And actually, it might work or it might not.
And well, we'll definitely be testing that today.
So let's see if this goes through. Is it gonna be a bit slow? Is it gonna be great? Let's find out. Kim, this is looking a bit slow, right?
It certainly does.
So this is where it comes to it, right? You want these really optimized workworkflows for voice. Imagine this is on a call. That did work. Or did it? Something went wrong. Something didn't connect. So let's look what went wrong.
Let's live debug.
So here is that new feature I told you. If we click in here, we can see the error data that we're getting. It was a bad request. User already has a booking at that time. Oh, my logic was wrong. So this is why I recommend playing around and testing your agents and like really drilling down to them. Of course, we caught this live, but there's going to be things you're not going to catch live. You're going to need to go and test them with an actual tool. You're going to need to test it multiple times. And there's a couple more things like that in this agent, which James is going to help us find.
Yes, love that. It's like a little treasure hunt.
Yes. So you don't have to go and find all of those little issues manually. Using a tool like evals in Voiceflow or a more advanced tool like Roark is going to make it so much easier to find them. So just to kind of sum up before we jump into the debugging, like when you're building voice agents, you really want to think about building voice native. You want to go and use multiple agent steps. You want to make sure your prompt instructions include voice-specific information, just like these. You want to make sure your exit conditions are set up. So if you require something later in the flow, just ask for it up front. You can go and require a variable just like this. And as you continue to build out your agents, in text, you can get away with latency. But in voice, well,
yeah, you don't want to sit through just dead silence.
Yeah, it's not gonna be as good. Even if that worked, that was a bad experience, right? So let's get into how we can find some of these issues.
Let's do it.
James,
Sweet.
you ready?
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it. Cool.
All right.
Well, that was an awesome demo. Thank you so much, with Jacklyn and Kim. So, now that we've built an agent in Voiceflow, the big question is, like, how do you know if it's actually ready for real customers, right? So for today's session, we're going to focus on simulations, just because it's the fastest way to gain confidence in knowing that your agent actually works as you expect before you put it in front of customers. So let me just go ahead and share my screen here. Cool. Awesome. So let's get started with what a simulation is, right? So a simulation in Roark is basically a test call, but it's much more powerful than a manual test. Our agent calls your agent. It runs through a realistic scenario, so you see exactly how your agent will behave in the wild. Now, you can run these at scale in bulk and cover every customer path you care about. And each simulation contains 3 parts. It contains a scenario, which is the specific customer journey or situation you want to test. It contains a persona, which is the customer that you're testing for. So whether it's different type of accent, language, their gender, whether they have background noise or not on the call, and then an evaluator that we're going to use to essentially figure out whether that test call actually paused or not. And so let's actually go ahead and start out with scenarios. So as we mentioned, a scenario is basically a unique path your customers might take, like a few that you might see here. The customer may inquire about insurance coverage. Let's go ahead and create one, and we'll create a custom scenario here, and we'll just call this test drive. And then let's say that we have a customer that's asking, hey, I want to book a test drive for the new electric SUV on Saturday at 2 p.m., right? And what you can do here is you can actually keep adding turns. So if you want to test that your agent replies in a specific way, you can actually go ahead and map out the entire conversation. But let's actually just keep this simple for now and just create a single scenario here. So once you do that, you're going to be able to see that it just pops up over here. But what's really nice is that you don't have to stop at just one path. Roark actually gives you this graph view where you can, let's just put this up here, cool, where, perfect, I'm just trying to zoom in. So it gives you this graph view where you can map out all of the different branches a conversation might take. So if you want to test a customer saying, no, or hanging up, or asking for a different time, then you would just add these branches there. So let's actually take this example that we created here, right? And let's add something else to it. So we'll see here that the customer calls the car dealership to book this test drive. But then we have the agent asking the customer for the day that they would like to book, right? And now over here is where we branch out, and we have one tell us they want to book an appointment for tomorrow at 9 a.m. The other one tells us they want to book an appointment for tomorrow at 2 a.m. And actually, let's update this and say, hey, they keep insisting, until the agent agrees, right? And let's go ahead and save this. Now, once we save this, what's going to happen is Roark is automatically going to generate all of those scenarios for you based on the unique paths through the graph, right? And so now you can see that we have these two new scenarios here where we had the existing one that they're calling at 2 a.m., but then now we also have one where they're calling on Saturday at 2 p.m. So the graph view is really a great way to be able to cover every single path that our customers may take, while the list view makes it really easy to add a quick scenario. And what's cool is if you don't want to build out every single path manually, we even have an AI agent to help. So if you tap on the create scenario here, you can even tap on the from Voiceflow agent, where you would go ahead, paste in your Voiceflow export that you can get from their dashboard, and we're linking to their guide directly over here. And then Roark will automatically generate all of the scenarios for you based on that prompt and workflow. And if you are also already using live monitoring, Roark will even suggest new paths for you automatically. So over time, you'll actually build up real-world coverage just by seeing what your customers actually do. Okay, awesome. So now that we've defined our scenarios, the next step is personas, right? So over here, let's go ahead and create a single persona. Let's call this the Voiceflow persona, right? And we're going to have them speak English, and we're gonna maybe have them speak in a German accent, and we'll keep the background noise off. right? So the cool thing with background noise is this is really important because you want to make sure that your agent is actually working for everyone and not just under idle conditions. You may have customers that are calling in from a noisy street or a bad phone connection, and in this case, we allow you to simulate all of that as well. Cool. Now, once you've set up your personas and scenarios, the final step really is to set up your evaluators. So think of evaluators as test criteria. Now, for today's demo, I've already set one up that checks for, let's go ahead and tap in this one here. This will check for latency. We're basically making sure that our agent never takes longer than 1.2 seconds between turns to reply, and that this never happens more than 5 times. We're going to check that they're at least being polite during the call, and we're setting up pretty high threshold for that. We're also just going to do a basic health check that they actually answer the call. And then we're adding in one of these custom prompts here where we're checking that the agent actually confirms the desired date and time, they confirm the car model, ask for certain details, and we're just going to call this the booking process completion block. So evaluators in Roark are block-based, which makes them very composable. You can even set different weights per block depending on what's most important for you, right? So maybe in your case, you care about the booking process is more important than, say, politeness, or checking whether latency, right, is up there or not, or vice versa, right? It really comes down to the customer and figuring out what's more important to you. And what's really great is that you can mix and match all of these, and you can create your own custom evaluators for essentially anything that you want to track. Okay, awesome. So once we've set up our evals, we're really ready to just run our first simulation. So we're just going to go ahead to the simulations run page, and we're going to tap on create a new run here. Once you do that, we're going to select some scenarios right from the ones that we generated. So let's go ahead and select the one about insurance coverage, the one at 2 p.m. here as well. We'll hit next. We're going to select our persona. So let's go ahead and select the Voiceflow persona. And then what's interesting here is that you can actually select, you can actually test your scenarios, your personas, and evals against multiple agent endpoints at the same time. So say you have like 4 or 5 phone numbers and you want to test the same scenario against all of them and see how they all fare. You can actually do that in the same run, right? And in so this case, I'm using the phone number that we've set up, that Jacklyn and Kim have kindly set up for their Voiceflow agent, for the car dealership agent here. So we're just going to go ahead and select that one. Hit next. And then finally, we're going to select the eval that I just showed you guys. So it's basically the test drive booking and scheduling accuracy, which is going to test for those 4 blocks, including the health check, latency, politeness, and the booking confirmation. And that's really it. So once we're here, we're just going to give it a name. And then, what's also great is that we've decoupled defining your tests from actually running them. So you can actually run any single combination as many times as you want. You can even select how many iterations you want to test for, because we all know that voice AI isn't always deterministic, right? So if you want to see if a bug is flaky or persistent, just run it a few times in a row. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep this to 1 so that we try and get some results, during this call. And I'm just going to go ahead and kick this off by clicking on create and run here. Cool. So this is actually going to kick off 2 calls against our Voiceflow agent that we created. And at this point, Roark is placing the call to your agent and is acting as the customer in every scenario that we defined. Now, once Roark is done, you'll actually get a results dashboard with everything aggregated for you. So you'll see stuff like success rates, latency, which calls failed and why. And this may take a few minutes, but they are all running in parallel. So the benefit here is that you can run 1,000 calls at the same time in parallel. But in the interest of time, let's just jump to what a result. Looks like here. Awesome, cool. So what you can see here is once the simulation has completed, you'll quickly get some aggregate metrics. You'll be able to see stuff like, since we selected the latency evaluator, you're going to see the time to first word. You're going to see the average agent response time. We're seeing that it's a bit high here. We're getting a score across all of our calls, across both calls for politeness, our health checks, and others. And then you'll also see a call list here of the calls that were actually placed, right? And so now we're seeing, hey, these calls were completed in around 2 minutes, 42 seconds. You can go ahead and tap on the pass-fail evaluator. We're seeing that, our evaluator failed at 59%. But if we tap on this, we'll actually be able to get a lot more detail. So let's just open it up here. So the first thing that we see is we get this really nice overview of everything that was run. So we're saying, hey, the main issues were that the agent's failure to complete the booking process, right, was due to missing key customer details and not confirming the booking. Okay, we offer some suggestions too, great. And then the more interesting piece is this one over here, where we're seeing a breakdown, right, of all those blocks that ran for that evaluator. And so we're seeing, hey, the health check paused, the basic politeness evaluation paused, but we're seeing we had issues with our booking process completion and then also our latency evaluation, right? And so now what we can do is we can actually go ahead, click on view breakdown, and for each one we'll get more information. So we'll get the reason, and we're seeing in this case, we'll see for a booking process completion eval that failed, we're saying, okay, the agent did not complete. While the agent confirmed the car model, the process was interrupted by a technical error before all required steps could be completed, right? And so let's actually dig a bit further into that. Let's tap on the evidence here. And so if we look at the evidence, we're going to get snippets from the call along with a comment from our end, as to why we think this relates to that score. And so we're seeing at evidence number 3 here, we're seeing, a snippet from the call where the agent actually seems to have an issue. It says, hey, something went wrong, right? Like, please try again later. And this is exactly what happened when Jacklyn was showing that to us, right, as well, just a couple of minutes ago. And we'll actually leave a comment here. So, there's something clearly wrong with the booking process right now, which is causing this to fail. If we do the same thing for latency, we'll actually be able to see, where what the average time was between turns, which specific segments caused that failure. So we're seeing that, in this turn where the customer spoke first and then the agent answered, it took over 8 seconds, right? And so, this just makes it really easy for you to basically not have to go through the entire conversation, figure out where things fail, and will automatically highlight these issues for you. One final thing to showcase here is, say now you actually want to go ahead and view the call, you want to play back the call. You can either play it directly from the simulation details here, or we can actually go ahead and tap on one of these, and this will open our call view for that specific call. You'll get a very rich transcript. You'll get the evidence that we saw for each eval associated directly to every segment. So this is an easier way to basically view all of your eval results if you're looking at it from a call perspective. And then we'll also highlight all of the different silences right in between the call, along with some sentiment and emotion analysis as well. And so let's actually go ahead and just listen back to this call.
Hi there, I'm Alex, your virtual assistant here at Carco. I'm here to help with anything you need. Whether you have questions about our vehicles, want to book a test drive, or need to check on an existing reservation, what can I do for you today?
Hi, Alex. I'm planning to take a test drive and wanted to ask about the insurance coverage. What's included if I take a car out for a test drive?
Great question. Let me look up the details about our test drive insurance coverage for you. I don't have.
Awesome. So I'm not going through the whole conversation, but you get the gist of it. That essentially you can go through here. You'll be able to, play back. We see that the simulation was successful. Essentially, our agent is having a conversation with the, agent that Kim and Jacklyn just built on Voiceflow, which is pretty awesome. And then we're also highlighting issues directly in the waveform. So, in this case, we're seeing that the agent, took a while to answer. So you don't need to like listen to the full thing. You can either just tap on the red markers, or you can also just go ahead and look at the results directly. So cool. So in this case, we know that we found 2 core issues. We have one for latency and the booking not working. And next time that you want to regression test your agent or launch a new version, that you're not just hoping for the best. You actually have hard data on exactly where things succeed and where they need work. And so with that, I'll pass it back to Jacklyn, to show you how to fix these issues in Voiceflow. And then if we have time, we might do a really quick run through on our reporting functionality. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, we don't want to leave you hanging. We don't leave you with a buggy agent. So let's go and fix those 2 issues. There's that latency one and that knowledge-based lookup issue. All right, so we go and jump into our agent. Let's go. It was all happening at the start, so it's going to be this routing agent. Let's have an edit. Well, first of all, the knowledge base doesn't have anything in it. Oh, that'll be why. So, of course, in the real world, it might be that there isn't a specific answer in your knowledge base. You're going to want to go and work out which questions have answers, which ones are repeatedly not. It's going to let you find that out. But in this case, we just didn't have anything in it. We can tell that because the knowledge base is empty if we hover over here. Well, my bad, Kim. Oops. And there was that latency issue.
Yes, let's figure out where that was.
All right, so again, this is happening on the first step. Let's look at the model we're using. Claude Sonnet, it's not the worst model for this, but it maybe isn't the best. So of course, we're live. It's difficult to test live, but let's try seeing what Claude Sonnet gives us. Let's see the latency for a very simple question.
Yeah, and in chat, if you have a model that you love using and you've noticed has really great latency, let us know.
So let's just say I want to book a test drive, and we'll use the same question both times. Because now we know this is the issue. We can narrow down on it.
Yeah, let's take a look at how long it
took. Okay, 2.51 seconds. Okay.
We can do better.
I think we can do better. So let's try. Let's go and edit this agent, and let's change the model. Let's just try Gemini 2.5 Flash. This is me trying in real time, by the way. I am just experimenting as well. And I know Connor Burton's like 4.1 mini. We're coming to it. Don't worry. Let's ask it the same question. I want to book a test drive. Oh, agent execution failed. Interesting.
Yeah, let's try 4.1.
Let's try 4.1 mini. Okay. Looks like we've got a fix going out for that live right now. 4.1 mini. Okay. Where am I looking? There it is. There's also 4.1 nano, which is super duper fast.
Okay. Let's give this one a
And this is why you try. And I'll show you one other thing that'll be interesting for people in a second. So I want to book a test drive. That's a lot faster.
Nice.
1.05 seconds. Of course, you're going to keep playing around with your model. And one other thing you want to play around with is this agent is often generating really long outputs. Maybe we want to be generating shorter answers. Maybe that would make it feel like shorter latency because there's less generation.
For sure.
So let me just zoom out. We had that issue with that Gemini Flash model. Well, we don't want that happening in a real world on a production agent, do we, Kim?
We don't. Yeah. Should we set some?
Let's go set some fallbacks.
Yeah.
So this is Voiceflow settings that I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with. This is where you set your voice settings. And to a person earlier who asked about Cartesia, yes, we support it. But over here, there's this AI model setting. And this lets us set a fallback model. So we can say if any Google model fails, then let's just auto fallback to GPT 4.1 mini.
Nice.
And then that issue we just saw in production wouldn't be an issue. The user would barely even know it happened.
Yeah. So you can set all the guardrails for your production agents, which is really exciting.
Yeah. So that's kind of the flow we recommend is, build your agent, go in, test it manually using run. When you think you're kind of getting close to a production level, that's when you're going to want to integrate with a tool such as Roark. And, as you kind of find these issues, you can kind of jump back in. And also, wow, it's a lot cheaper in terms of credits as well, isn't it, Kim?
Totally. Play around with your models. You never know what you'll find.
Yeah. And then we can look in and we can kind of see, okay, what's going on behind the scenes, what's working, what's not working. We have that full visibility. And we know we're not just coming in blind trying to work out what the issues are because we have some data to help us jump in.
Love that.
So that's how you go and debug and fix a model on Voiceflow or an agent on Voiceflow, Rara. And of course, we're going to send you this template. This template, again, is intentionally a little bit jank and a little bit broken. And so you can use this as a way of testing out Roark and also just testing out our new debugging features. And of course, make sure after you've tested it, generate your own agent using the new generation features too.
As JC said, it's a bug bounty. So let us know what you find.
All right, James, do you want to share one final thing with some cool stuff you got to share?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. We'll leave about 10 minutes at the end to run through some questions.
Yeah, we know we've got a lot of questions. Don't worry. We see you in chat and we'll be coming to them.
Awesome. So this is very quick, but essentially once you run all of your test sets, all of your simulations, one thing that you're going to want to do is figure out, is your agent improving over time or not, right? Like, are your metrics improving? Are they, how's your agent doing? How are your fixes going? So we have this feature called reports here under analytics, where you can go ahead, select the time frame, and then you can start adding metrics. So you can say, okay, let's see all the evaluations that have failed over the past 7 days. Okay, let's say 3 months. And then once you're in here, you'll actually be able to see, okay, so we had 94 over the past 3 months. Let's go ahead and break this down by evaluator name. And so over here, we're seeing we have 38 that failed the answer relevance eval. We have 1 that failed the greet the user eval, and you can keep going. And so then this makes it really easy for you to go from 1,000 simulations that you've tested just down to the few that you really care about. And then you can even keep chaining different metrics, right? Whether these are set up from your custom evals or just other things that you pass in along with your code recordings. We can even filter for a specific type of emotion where the emotion was anger, right, or anxiety. And those will all just pop up here. And we're seeing that there were 16 calls where that actually occurred. And so, yeah, this is really, that's basically it. On the reporting functionality, but this is just a really good way for you to just go ahead and get the aggregate view, right, and get an overview of how your agent is doing. And it's one of those reports where you're going to go ahead, save it, and maybe once a day go in, or once a week go in and check whether you're trending in the right direction. So with that, if you want to try it out or have questions or want to see a scenario tested live, I'm happy to share that our platform is fully self-serve, and that there's the link in the comments, I believe, but you can just go to Roark.ai, sign up, and you're also good to go. With that, I'll hand it back off to Jacklyn and Kim. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, love to see people actually getting reports and actually being able to report on their agents. I know a lot of people who are starting out on Voiceflow, they're oh, I built an agent. It's how's the agent going? It's it's an agent.
Yeah, it's fine.
And you want to be able to report. It's it's a first-class part of your business,
exactly,
right?
Yeah, especially if you're working with clients and they want visibility on whether or not your project is impactful. These are the types of things that you'd show them. So
yeah,
really exciting. Sweet. Looks like we have a ton of questions in chat. So why don't we start working through a few of them? Just as a reminder, use the Q&A tab so we can kind of sort through them.
And while we answer these questions, should we share a little gift we have for everybody as well?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we got a free $100 credit for Roark. So if you're a Voiceflow user and you want to try out all of this stuff, you can try it out for free. Head over to Roark.ai and use promo code Voiceflow100, and you can go try it out. All right.
For sure. All right, let's pop back into Q&A, and I also add a little pop-up there so you can just pop over to their sign-up page right there.
Amazing.
All right. Okay, cool. So back to Q&A. Let's start here from this question from Erica. Can the new prompting feature be used to create just small parts to add to an existing workflow?
So as of right now, the prompting feature is for generating an entire workflow. If you're looking to just kind of generate a small part, so that agent step, for example, you can just add an agent step to your canvas and click that little blue lightning bolt icon. It's in the corner of the prompt section of your agent. You can give it some instructions. You can kind of almost have a conversation with it. You can be oh, actually change this as well after it makes some changes. That's kind of how we'd recommend right now prompting. Of course, the limitation is this isn't going to do tools yet. So don't worry, we hear you. This is, of course, a V1, and it was built incredibly quickly by the engineering team. So I'm sure there's going to be more around the corner. I'm excited to see it.
Let them cook for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, as just a reminder, it's a great way to get started. And then obviously you can layer in complexity. You can also build in linear flows like Jacklyn showed today in the demo to really customize it to your ideal experience, really. So it's just a way to get you going more quickly.
Yes.
Sweet. Okay. Next question we have here. Is there a way to have different paths for web and voice? Ooh, good question. I would imagine for voice, it would spell the name, but for web chat, it would be silly to spell the name, which...
Yeah. So natively, kind of. The way I handle it is you can use there's an ID, like a kind of platform type, which is automatically set. It's a variable in Voiceflow whenever a conversation happens. So you're able to detect if users using web chat, if users on a phone call. And what I do is at the start of the conversation, I use a set step. And I set a variable based on that variable. And that variable contains some little instructions. So it might be the instructions specific to how it should pronounce things on a phone call. So it should spell out numbers and certain words and so on and so forth. Then what I do is in my prompt, in my agent steps, I just include that variable. And in that way, I'm able to include context for my agent that is dependent on which platform the user's talking to the agent on. So that's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
You also can do some cool stuff where you can even just ask an LLM to try and detect it. So it just kind of depends what works for your use case. There's a bunch of different ways to do it.
Yeah, great. Looks like Connor in chat also threw in a template, and I can always connect with a Voiceflow expert to help navigate that. But great question. Great. Question for the Roark team here. We'll start with this one. So how do you guys detect emotions such as anger and annoyance? James, you want to share a bit more of how it works in the backend?
Yeah, for sure. So we have different voice analysis models. So for emotion, vocal cues, and sentiment, they are actually purely 100% running on the audio and not the transcript at all. And so we're able to capture vocal cues like, hey, the user raised their voice, or they felt angry, or different types of emotions. We fine-tune them for different use cases as well. And those run, and they are just a part of. They're just automatically part of the platform. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Awesome, great. Another question for you. Have agents in production that are directly connected to external API calls that book appointments on schedulers? How do you set up your simulations in order to prevent, let's say, hundreds of bookings from hitting these connected systems? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great one. So what we generally suggest is that you create different phone numbers, right? So you could create a staging phone number or development phone number that's potentially going to the same agent or maybe a staging agent as well. And then based on the phone number and your logic, you will just either ignore or return some dummy data, right? But you just want to make sure that you don't actually hit your database there, right? So there are two options. You're either gonna mimic the agent, create a completely separate one for staging, or you can use your production one, hook it up to a different phone number, and then just have some of that logic inside that's checking for it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Super smart.
Yeah, great work, Brian. Sweet. Okay, next question. Is it possible with Voiceflow to replace outbound new business call center workers? So basically create an AI call center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely say start with augmenting rather than replacing.
Right, definitely.
A lot of the way we recommend is okay, what is the most common task you're being asked to do that can be reliably automated? So an example we used a couple of weeks back is okay, you're being asked to extend trials constantly. Okay. Can you use an agent to automatically extend those free trials? Or can you use the agent with a knowledge base to automatically answer those really basic questions? And then if the answer is yes, which it likely is, then at that point, okay, what is the next step? What are some more advanced actions? Because I think a lot of people think about call centers and they're just oh, they just answer questions. And that's not really what customer support is. Customer support isn't just answering things, it's also doing things. So then, you can get a little deeper. You can keep climbing this mountain. You can go and build functions or API calls that hook into whatever platforms you're using. Or if you're using something like Zendesk behind the scenes, we have native integrations available for that right now. And so you kind of want to keep moving up. And then, if you are hitting things where, it still needs a human, or if, like we mentioned earlier, you want that human touch, you can use the forward call custom action, still forward to a human. But if it's freeing up those humans, it's not going to be a big, long queue to go and speak to your agent. Instead, your agent can go and handle those most basic tasks, or then as you grow, those more advanced tasks. And then as a human is needed, you connect into them and boom, much easier.
Yeah, I love that call. That's also how we internally approach building Tico, which is our internal AI agent. It's really starting small, so starting as simple as an FAQ or just answering questions from our docs. And then now it's able to really level up and run actions like search account details, and you can build internal tools for us in the team where if we need to search something, it's able to pull that. So it's about how you can kind of scale your agent and not automatically kind of replace the whole team.
Yeah, and if you're curious, while Kim pulls up that next question, Tico automatically has the whole of docs.voiceflow.com ingested into its knowledge base. So that's how it knows things. If you ever email Voiceflow support, the first person I guess you'll talk to is Tico, and that's how it's doing it. It's pulling data from our docs and other places and answering your questions.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next question is, do you have any real-world case studies of consultants using Voiceflow to build voice agents for clients that integrate with vector databases like Pinecone, leveraging RAG to tailor responses from customer knowledge bases? So we do work with a few enterprise customers that are using our voice platform at scale to handle thousands of calls daily. So we do have those case studies. Hopefully we'll get them live on the site soon. But we have a built-in knowledge base actually. So that's also a great way that you can, again, like Jacklyn showed in the demo, build in a lot of context into your agents.
I would also say if you are looking into, for whatever reason, hooking into a custom knowledge base, it is not there yet, but voiceflow.com/learn, we are just in the process of migrating it. There is a little tutorial Nico made and it'll be on there in the next couple days. So hang tight, because I know people want to do this. If you're interested in how to do it, yeah, it's been done before, and we've got guidance on it.
Love that. Sweet. And then a question for James here. Does Roark work on an agent without voice?
So right now, we're fully focused on the voice AI space. We are, however, working on being able to simulate chat agents. So you should look out for that in the coming weeks. But for the time being, it'll only work on voice agents. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, good to know. I'm just looking through a few more questions here. That's a good one. Let's add this one to overlays. Thank you, everyone, for all these questions, by the way. They're awesome. All right. When I receive a call to my agent, is there a specific variable or constant in Voiceflow that captures the caller's phone number?
Yes. It's user ID, user_ID.
Sweet. Also, I'm building a call center setup that uses a configuration sheet containing the phone numbers of different stores within the same industry. It's possible to configure the agent to recognize which number the user is calling and automatically retrieve the relevant store information.
I believe so. So I'll quickly share my screen, actually, and I'll show you something that will help you out here. So this is going to be difficult to demo just because we're not on a phone call right now, but it'll give you some to work off. If I click run, I'm able to see all of the variables, just if I click here, that are being set. So these are all the variables that are auto set. In this case, our user ID is just going to be a dummy user ID, and the platform is going to be web chat. So we're not going to get all of that phone number info. But in here, like I'll just don't know if I so hit run again, just so you can see it, run, and then variables. So in here, you know, it's going to go and give us that information. So if you're interested in getting these variables elsewhere, stuff like transcripts can be a good place to explore. But this is how you can kind of see what information is available. Again, because we're testing in web chat, it's not going to quite match up. So that's where you want to go and start diving in and exploring transcripts and seeing what variables are being set. If you're super technical as well, a little trick I do is I sometimes just go and put variables in a message block and just send them. And so I'm able to test live, like, you know, rather than relying on this, you know, if I want to like test on the actual phone number and call it, like to know absolutely for sure what information is there. It's a good little trick.
Yeah.
So
love that. Sweet. Great question. All right. So just being mindful of time. So we have a couple minutes to wrap up here. I wanted to do a quick call out again back to the 100 free credits that Roark is sharing. So you can use this coupon code, try them out for free, give it a feel, especially if you're already a Voiceflow user. You can also test your projects on it and start building right away. And then on our end, as always, we like to wrap up just as a call out of some of the resources that we work very hard on. So Docs obviously Jacklyn's doing a ton of work to revamp it. So definitely check it out, give us some feedback, and let us know how you think, how you've been learning from it. On the community side, a lot of folks in the chat are already in the Discord, but if you aren't already, it's a really vibrant place to get help from other users and also just learn from folks. And of course, we have our YouTube channel where you can learn with tutorial format. So definitely check that out as well. Sweet. And then James, on the Roark side, would you like to share?
Yeah, of course. So, you know, first link, feel free to try us out. As you know, as Kim mentioned, we're giving $100 off. Feel free to just include that link on the pay-as-you-go plan in your Stripe checkout, and you will automatically have those credits there. You know, on the doc side, from our docs, you'll able to use them if you want to integrate using our SDKs and APIs to your send codes or trigger things, you know, via CI/CD. And then there's also our launch post if you want to get a summary of what we went over today as well.
See everyone in the Discord, and definitely try out Roark. Give it a shot and let us know what you think. But thanks everyone for tuning in today.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And of course, if you have questions, Discord's a great place to keep asking them.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of you will do.
Yes, I just threw the link in chat. So we'll see you on the other side.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Catch you guys next time.